Welcome to Melrose Unitarian Universalist Church. Our service today is called Fire of Commitment. Good morning. I am the Reverend Dr. Suzanne Intriligator. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am delighted to be the minister of this thriving congregation. We are a church of independent minds, adventurous souls, and loving hearts. To learn more about our church and our values, please visit our website at melroseuu.org. Our chat box host today is Adrienne Wood, and she will share a link to that page now, our welcome page. You can go there and sign up on our digital guest book or sign up for our newsletter. You can also use the chat box as you like, especially during this welcome time, to say hello to other people, tell us where you're tuning in from. And please feel welcome to stay afterward today for our virtual coffee hour, where we chat with one another and get up to date. So my question for you this morning to start us off is, do you know what tomorrow is? Tomorrow, March 8th, is the 1-year anniversary of the last time we gathered together in person in this room, our sanctuary. Can you believe it's been a whole year? Or does it feel more like 5 years? Pandemic time is really weird, isn't it? Sometimes it feels like time stretches out forever and then it passes by in a flash. But this is a really significant anniversary in all of our lives, and we're going to be spending some time talking about it across the coming month. But especially on Sunday, March 21st, which is 2 weeks from today, on that Sunday, we'll be sharing here in the worship service about how the pandemic itself, how coronavirus and lockdowns have touched our lives, from all that we've lost, special trips, family events, hugs from our loved ones, to all that we've learned about valuing our people and our planet and our moments together. To get ready for that Sunday, I want to invite you to start reflecting on what you'd like to share. And if you're the shyer kind, someone who's a little worried about sharing in this big space with other people, I invite you, if you'd like, to drop into 2 Zoom sessions that I'm having on Wednesday, March 10th. This coming Wednesday. You can stop in and just talk about your pandemic year. And I will edit those moments together into a video, much like you might remember we did for All Souls service back in November. People dropped in and talked, and it became a beautiful video of remembrances. So details and links for those Zoom drop-in sessions are in your midweek updates. Also in there on March 10th is a special open choir practice. We're hoping that more of you will just show up just for this one choir practice to put your lovely faces and voices on a special video for us to use this month, recording our beloved hymn, Fire of Commitment. So if you could just drop in and sing for us just that one time, it'd be fantastic. It'd be great to have a video with everyone singing together. Next Sunday, March 14th, we'll be taking a break from our pandemic musings for MUUC Sunday, which will be hosted this year by special guests and longtime friends, Alistair MUUC and Reggie Harris. These 2 great musicians will be performing live for us here in the worship. Plus, they'll be talking about their family histories and how these intersect with the fight for racial justice in America. It should be a very special MUUC Sunday. That's a week from today. In connection with MUUC Sunday, our giving partner for the month of March has been selected by our choir. They chose to honor our recent guest music director, Vivian Montgomery, by calling for donations to an organization that Vivian has worked closely with for years now, the Hamilton Garrett Music and Arts Academy in Roxbury. Half of our collection this month will go to this amazing program supporting the creativity of underserved kids. You can learn more about the Academy in your midweek email news. So let's get back to today. Since we've set aside a time later in the month to talk about all of our own losses and learnings this past year, today we'll start by looking at what we have in common, this church. Coincidentally, on the eve of this first anniversary of ours, it's also the kickoff of our month-long pledge drive. So it's a perfect moment to stop and think about what church has meant to us this past year, about how these services and these connections among us have fed us and held us through the storm. Your trusty pledge drive leaders, Kathy Sang and Aaron Hobet Audette, and I together have crafted this service to put you at the center, to give you a chance to reflect and connect in good company with your friends. We've made a special film for you, a look back at this church year to jog your memory about all we've done, and we'll show that for the offertory today. And then in place of the sermon, we'll be breaking into small groups right here in worship, each with a dedicated host, so that you can have a moment in the worship service to share your reflection. What has church meant to you this past pandemic year? To get us started with our reflections, we have a testimonial this morning from board member John Raymond. John, are you there?
Yes. Good morning. Like many of you, I became disenchanted with the religion that I grew up with sometime around high school. I had no interest at all in church of any kind, although in college I read the Gnostic Gospels, Chinese and Indian philosophy, even some medieval mysticism. In general, the heretics were much more interesting than the Orthodox. When we moved to Melrose, Bonnie and I talked with the kids around the dinner table about things like life and morality. But eventually the kids started to say, all of our friends are Catholic or fundamentalist. What are we? So we thought about bringing them to church, but didn't do it. Then I got hit by a Ford Bronco one day and had a couple of weeks off to think about mortality. And we began to come to the church. We first came to a summer service led by Alan Gromitstein. And we came to a regular fall service, and the sermon was a lot like a philosophy lecture, but with a lot of emotional and personal content rather than abstractions. We got to know a lot of the longtime members, people like the Goulds and the Pendletons and the Wises, and soon signed the book. I became the chair for the finance committee for a while, a couple terms as treasurer, and ended up on the property committee, and this fall joined the board. So why do I spend my time at board meetings and property meetings? Why do I donate $5,400 a year to the church? The answer depends on who asks the question to some extent. The usual answer is the community itself and the satisfaction of contributing to something that's much bigger than I am. A few of you may remember big projects like painting and fixing up the parsonage. The church's commitment to social justice is another big factor. Climbing Mount Monadnock with a group of kids from the urban ministry was a memorable experience. But recently, something else has come to the fore. Some years ago, a carpool buddy asked me why I would belong to a church that doesn't have a creed or necessarily even a God. My answer was that the spiritual and moral aspect of life is too important to be left to the televangelists. There are a lot of people out there who are convincing their followers to believe without questioning, to believe without thinking. During the last presidential election, a phrase arose, a struggle for the soul of America. 5 years ago, I would have thought that was over the top hyperbole. I don't think so now. The UU Church stands for rationality as well as the values of justice and compassion. So probably like most of the rest of you, my reasons for committing to the church range from purely personal to the local community to the direction that the country is taking at this very time. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you for sharing that with us today, John. Much appreciated. And now to get us really rolling, we go to our regular ritual of greeting by switching to gallery view in the top right corner and scrolling through the windows. Let's see who's here today, wave to one another, and send out all those virtual hugs. Good morning, MUUC. Oh, you're looking good this morning. Hi, everybody. I hope you've had some coffee already. Good morning. Oh, look at all those faces. Hi, everyone. So good to see you. Hello. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now with UUs everywhere, I light the symbol of our faith, the flaming chalice. This morning, Dan Griscom, who serves as our board president, will give our chalice lighting reading. Take it away, Dan.
The fire of commitment. We light this chalice to kindle the fire of commitment to spread our beloved faith, proclaim the good news that all are worthy and all are welcome, that God is love and none shall be left behind. May we carry this flame to all we encounter, letting our lives shine with its glow.
Thank you so much, Dan. Here to introduce our opening hymn this morning is our music director, Tara Tresner-Kirsch. Tara?
Good morning. This morning, we welcome Sammy and Bill McQuaid to lead our opening hymn. Thank you, Sammy and Bill, for this awesome video. And will you all please rise in body or just in spirit and sing This Little Light of Mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. The light that shines is the light of love. It lights up the darkness from above. Shines on me and it shines on you. Shows what the power of love can do. Shine my light so far and near. Shine my light so bright and clear. It's a dark corner of this world. Gonna let my little light shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
What a treat that was. Thank you so much, Bill and Sammy. That was so great. Thank you. Now let us join together in the words of our covenant, followed by our song of aspiration. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God. Okay, now it's time for our story. Today, I gave our wonderful DRE, Katie, the day off so that I could share a story with you live from here in the sanctuary. We're going to try something a little different. Josh, can you switch to my other camera? And give me just a second to get set up. Hi, can you hear me from here? Are we good to go? I turned off my sound, so I don't know if you can hear me from here. Can somebody give me a thumbs up?
Yes, we can hear you.
Excellent, thank you so much. I'm up in the choir loft. You guys haven't seen it up here for a while, huh? So, because I have a surprise, something I'll be showing you in just a minute. Here's my story, and it's a story from my own life. From way back in the before times, in the fall of 2019, I had a dream. We were getting together to brainstorm ideas about the upcoming pledge drive for that year. I was with Kathy Sang and the whole pledge drive team, and we were trying to come up with an idea for a community art project, something that we could all take part in to celebrate church. And we were taking time together, and we thought about what we had done the year before, which was, if you remember, the origami birds. Yeah, you might remember that pledge drive the year before, my first year when being your minister, we had a celebration Sunday where everybody walked up the center aisle and handed in their pledges. And when they did that, they got an origami bird that staff had made. And then they took the bird and walked to the side aisles and connected them to long pieces of string. And everybody sort of, what are we doing here? They hooked up the string. And then afterward, when everyone had a chance and everyone had hung up a bird, John Pastel grabbed a long pole with a hook on the end, and he hooked it up on these big hooks that we had hanging from the ceiling. And suddenly there was a V formation of origami birds hanging down from our ceiling in here. And it was a really beautiful moment. And talking about that, Kathy and I said, Kathy said to me, I don't know how you're going to top that for this year. And I thought about it and thought about it. And then I sat here in our sanctuary and I looked at this blank wall here. So I don't know if you remember, but 2019 was the year that we hung up the projector here in the sanctuary. And mostly people liked it. They liked having the lyrics projected up so we could all look forward and sing together. And I liked putting up images that illustrated what I was talking about in the sermon. But all of the hours of the week when the projector wasn't on, this wall was empty and our sanctuary kind of looked bare. And I thought about that. And I brought this to the quilters and I said to the quilters, do you think you could make a wall hanging to decorate this front wall of the sanctuary for us to use all the times we're not using the projector? And could you also make it a community art project, a wall hanging that we would all somehow finish together in a worship service to make a symbol of our community? Quite a huge challenge I set for our quilters, but you know what? They rose to the challenge. Of course they did. If you know our quilters, you know that they did. So they made a beautiful wall hanging to go here with an image of our church and a big sun shining over it. And the idea was that on Celebration Sunday last year, the end of March, we would all gather for worship and everybody would get, so there's an image of the church and then there's a sun in the sky behind it. And the sun was our symbol for the theme of wisdom last year. Everybody was going to get a ray, a piece of yellow fabric, and we were going to decorate them together in the worship service with gold and orange markers. And then after you gave in your pledge, you'd come up here and you'd put it on the sun and make the sun really big and representing all of us, that all of us are part of the wisdom of this community that shines down and is part of what inspires all of us. So that was my beautiful dream. Of course, then COVID happened and we closed our doors and we didn't celebrate. In fact, we spent a lot of time just focused on figuring out how to do online worship and how to stay connected to each other during this pandemic year. And the beautiful wall hanging never got hung up. It got folded up and put in the basement and it gathered dust. Fast forward to this year, a few months ago, and I sat down with the staff and we started brainstorming about this year's pledge drive. And I said, can you all think of some kind of community project that we could do together? And our administrator, Therese, looked at me and said, you mean to tell me, because I had told her that the theme this year was commitment. So she looked at me and she said, are you telling me the theme is commitment and you have this beautiful project gathering dust down in the basement that you never finished and the theme is commitment? And of course, I kind of laughed and I said, oh my gosh, yes, to show commitment, we're gonna finish the quilt project this year. That would be the thing to do. So that's what we're doing. How, you ask? Oh, well, I'll tell you in just a second. But first, would you like to see the wall hanging? It's finally hanging up in the sanctuary now for this year's pledge drive, and it is beautiful. Now, you saw it from a distance a minute ago, but here's the big unveiling. Sorry, we just have my phone to show you from here in the choir loft. So you see this beautiful image of the church. See the bricks on it? I mean, it really looks like our church. And then there's a beautiful sky and this little sun, which is going to get much bigger when you all take part in finishing the wall hanging. What do I mean? Here's what I mean. In your pledge packet this week, you will get a strip of yellow fabric. And what I want you to do is hold it in your hands and bless it. Bless it, make it your own. Say a prayer on it, meditate on it, kiss it, make it your own. Maybe not kiss it, you still have COVID to worry about. Make it your own, okay? I want you to also then decorate it, right? If you have an orange marker at home, what I would love you to do is decorate it with an orange marker. This one says, shine love on all life. Isn't that beautiful? This was decorated by one of our quilters this week as a little demonstration. And so if you've got an orange marker, you decorate it at home and you put it back in your pledge drive packet with your pledge and you mail it into church. If you don't have an orange marker at home, don't worry about it. You can also just make a design on a piece of paper and send that in and the quilters will put it on your raid for you. Or you can come to church next Sunday from 1 to 3 p.m. If the weather's good, quilters and I will be out in the parking lot with markers and you can decorate it together. If the weather's bad, we'll be decorating it socially distanced in Parish Hall right down here, one family at a time or two families at a time, separated from each other. We're going to be careful, I promise you, we'll all be wearing masks. Then, if you'd like, you can come in here to the sanctuary with me, one family at a time, and put your ray on the quilt. Can you imagine what this is going to look like with 100 rays on it? How beautiful this sun is going to be when we've all finished it together. And I'm going to take photos, if I can, of every family putting their ray up here so that we can watch it build. So we can actually have my little dream of building this sun together, of finishing it together, as if we were all here together in the sanctuary. And I'll make a video and I'll show it in worship so you can watch it happen too. Thank you so much, quilters. So what's the moral of this story? Oh, I forgot to tell you what I want you to put. just inspiration for your decoration. I want you to think about what light it is that you shine on our community. You are a ray of sunshine. We're all part of the greater whole. So if you could write on your ray words that mean that, or, even if you're not a great artist, you can pick hearts, stars, musical notes, peace signs, something from your heart to the whole, something you'd like to see up here the next time we're all seated together here in the sanctuary. Because what I think the last year has really demonstrated to all of us is that this church is not this building. This church is our community wherever we are. As long as we stay connected, we keep shining our lights, and we try sometimes to shine all together in the same direction. We have learned that this community belongs to all of us, and we all have a part to play in taking care of it. So I'd like you to think for a moment and reflect on what is your fire of commitment? What is the light that you shine down on our community? I invite you to think about that, and in a few minutes, there will be moments, some time for you to connect with one another and talk about that together. Now it's time for us to move on to our prayer time, where we'll have joys and sorrows and some quiet time. And then I will lead us in a prayer. So it's time to move to my other camera. Thanks so much. Let me leave you with another view of the quilt. There we go. Doesn't it look fantastic? It adds so much color and life to the sanctuary. I'm just thrilled with it. So now it's time for us to move to our prayer time together. Every week we share with one another a set of treasured rituals, a time for speaking and sharing the personal milestones of our lives, our joys and our sorrows. First, if you have a sorrow to share today, please type it into the chat box and I will read them aloud. From Aaron Hoban-Audet, a candle of sorrow for a friend whose father passed away suddenly last week. Any other sorrows? One more from Florence, sending love and prayers to the Mackenzie family. My dear childhood friend has lost both of her parents and her younger sister in the last year. From Dan Griscom, a candle of sorrow for a year of missed opportunities and hugs. Any other sorrows this morning? Let us pause now, holding all these sorrows in our minds gently and with compassion. Let us send out our love and care to all who have spoken and all who are troubled today. Let them feel our concern and our commitment to help in whatever way possible. I now light one candle as a beacon of care for all the sorrows spoken and unspoken today. Now I ask for all the joys that you'd like to share, type them into the chat box and I will read them. From Dan Franklin, A Candle of Joy. After 7 months unemployed, I have an offer from Panorama Education. I start on March 29th. Hooray for Dan. From Gretchen Locke. Joy for a great nephew, a new great nephew, born this week to my nephew, Gabe, and his wife, Tristan, in the Bay Area. We hope to see at least a picture of him on our family Zoom today. And then there's one from Florence, A Candle of Joy and Thanks for Viva's successful wrist surgery and my mom's first vaccination shot received yesterday. From Lisa Wilson Wright, Candle of Joy for Nathan, who was offered his first job. From Dan Griscom, spring is coming. Yes, it is. Karen Gabler, Candle of Joy. My daughter, Catherine, will be able to continue teaching remotely until the end of the school year. From Corey Mann, David's birthday was yesterday. We are now the same age for 9 months. Happy birthday, David. From Adrian, A Candle of Hope, Faith, and Optimism for Matt. From Jennifer Summers, my mom and dad have vaccination appointments this week. Amen. Hooray for the vaccinations. From Cheryl Ringen, Chris's birthday is tomorrow. Also, the girls are going to be in school every week starting tomorrow to the end of the year. They scored seats in both cohorts. From Beth Yergrau to everyone, Candle of Joy, my husband Tug had his first vaccine this morning, hoping many more vaccines are available to all. From Karen Gabler, Candle of Joy, I have had my 2 vaccinations. Many joys to celebrate this morning. Are there any others? From Jeannie Harris, David's birthday was last week, and I am now a year older. I guess you're both aging together at the same rate. Wonderful. Happy birthday, David. Any other joys to share this morning? All right, we'll go to our blessing. Thank you all. By speaking aloud these joys, you remind us of our own blessings and of the joy of living. We celebrate along with you. I now light one more candle to shine out our thanks for all the joys shared here this morning. Please join me in the spirit of prayer. Today, I share with you a blessing written during this pandemic year by my friend, the Reverend Karen Johnston, our minister in East Brunswick, New Jersey. To me, this piece speaks deeply about our past year, about what we as individuals and as a UU faith community can learn and take away from this year that we've shared together. Karen writes, "We will get through, not unscathed to be sure. Too much has already been lost. Too many beloveds have been lost. So not unscathed, but a new kind of whole. The kind that only emerges from the going through it, from the wrestling with it, from the demanding something in exchange for what we lose, making clear what we claim, making clear what we demand in return. It's not a personal gain or revenge, but a blessing. Shaped by our loves and our losses, our sorrows and our joys, our failures and our triumphs, a blessing. Shaped by our bodies and our minds, by our singing and dancing, by our praying and listening. By the beauty we persist in co-creating, the justice we insist upon, a blessing. Shaped by our dedication to the values that shape us, unremitting compassion, joyful and radical inclusion, a preferential option for the poor and marginalized, a deep and wide dismantling of white supremacy, a true honoring of the great mystery of life, with appreciation and humility, and with a commitment to collective liberation that frees all, a blessing for all. And now it's time for our offertory this morning. I offer you this film I made, images culled from the last year as we gathered and grew, wept and sang, survived and thrived, apart and together. Josh, we seem to be missing the music on this.
Can everyone hear the music?
We could all hear it.
Josh,
It's
that
all
was
fine.
my mistake. Could you start it again? Because I messed up.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Erin Hobenaudet, and that's like probably the 4th or 5th time I've seen that video, and I still get chills. So before last March, if you had told me that our community could connect and even thrive without even being together for an entire year, I would have told you that you were crazy, and probably a lot of you would have agreed with me. But in watching that video and thinking of all that we've done in the past year, despite all the challenges that have been put in our way individually and collectively, and we kept showing up, we kept supporting our causes, helping our neighbors and friends, fueled by the fire of commitment. Time and again, we demonstrated resilience, determination, and commitment to each other, to our beloved community, and to continuing to demand a more just world. So as Reverend Suzanne mentioned, in lieu of the sermon today, we're going to break into breakout rooms and ask, what has the church community meant to you in the past year? What moments stand out in your memory? There will be a host in each room who will kick things off by sharing a little bit about what the past year has meant to them. And we'll have roughly 10 or 15 minutes so that everyone has space to take part. And this time is for everyone. If you're new or just visiting us today, even from far away, please feel free to join in as you're comfortable. You're a part of our community too, which is changing all the time. Feel free to tell us what brought you here today, or maybe what you thought of the service. And when we come back, each room host will type a little bit in the chat just to encapsulate what was discussed in their rooms. So Josh, please do your magic and send us off to our breakout rooms.
All right. So I hope you all enjoyed the chance to connect and hear other people's reflections on what church has meant to them throughout this past year. I know that for me, it's been wonderful being able to gather here every Sunday, even if only on Zoom. I've also enjoyed trivia nights. And yes, they even let me play, and I am not very good at trivia. Thank you, Erin, for that. I've done book discussions and, of course, our very lively auction. We're all tuned in here today because we realize in the most basic way that our church is not about our building. Although I can't wait till we can return there in person, but it's about our community and our connections and commitment to one another. The video we saw earlier showed us just a few of the many ways that we found and provided comfort and connection to each other throughout this past year. And the video really only scratched the surface. Thanks to the efforts of so many, our covenant groups and quilters continued on. We hosted multiple virtual trivia and game nights, as well as book discussions. Our caring team has been tremendous in their outreach, checking in on folks and helping where and when help is needed. Our RE program, with the amazing Katie at the helm, continued to serve families and help our kids stay engaged and grow. We even formed new online covenant groups to help keep us connected. Not to mention 10 volunteer-run Sunday gatherings last summer, with an average of 30 people attending each week. All along, we also continued to engage in social justice efforts, including Get Out the Vote, the MLK Month of Service. Our immigration team added a 3rd client to support, our hunger ministries work with Bread of Life, and much more. All of this was made possible through our collective support, both of our time and our treasure. As most of you likely know, we are completely self-funded, so we rely on our community to provide the financial resources to help us live out our values and our mission. Thank you for your past support that has allowed us to do just that. And thank you for the light that you bring to our community. And now I'll turn it over to Kathy Sang.
Thanks, Janice. It's really remarkable, not only what we've accomplished as a community in the past year, but how we did it, working together day after day, week after week, apart, but yet each of us contributing in our own way. But as gratifying as it is to look back at what we've accomplished, it's even more exciting to think about where we'll go from here. The plans and the idea that the church committees and the staff have for next year are truly amazing. For example, the anti-racism and community engagement teams are working closely with Alistair MUUC on a series about racial justice called Opening Doors. And in a word, it's groundbreaking. And you're going to hear more about it next Sunday. And Reverend Suzanne and Katie are planning a series of really important programs to help us with conflict resolution and talking across differences. And of course, there's still so much to be done about so many other social justice and climate change issues that we're all concerned about. So to make these and other plans a reality, our pledge drive goal this year is $210,000, which is a 5% increase from last year. And as Janice mentioned, and is true for all UU churches, we are completely self-funded. Our combined pledges provide more than half the income to fund our programs, pay our wonderful staff, and support our building. Your pledge is an investment in your values, in our values, and in the church mission. And working together as a community is how we achieve them. So bottom line, to realize our goals, we need your financial support, every one of us. And we don't take that ask lightly. I mean, we recognize that many have faced financial strains from the pandemic. So as you consider what your personal commitment to this year's pledge drive will be, think about what MUUC and our community means to you and your family. I mean, every pledge matters. Every pledge is appreciated. And every pledge helps us live our values and grow as a community. So give until it feels good for you. Pledge packets will arrive in the mail this week, and a third of you will be hearing from me or another member of our pledge team to ask how your church experience is going this year, provide pledging guidance, and answer any questions you may have. In addition, all the pledge drive materials and a new online pledge submission form will be available on the website. So if any of you have questions about pledging, please feel free to reach out to me, Erin, or Reverend Suzanne, and we'd be so happy to talk with you about any of it. Whatever the level of your past and ongoing support, thank you. I look forward to seeing what our future holds and where we will go together.
With that in mind, let's join together in our closing hymn, The Fire of Commitment. Go ahead, Josh.
Our mind
get through, not unscathed to be sure, but a new kind of whole. May the fire of commitment keep burning brightly within each of us. Keep kindling the lights we share, the light we shine down on this, our beloved community. Amen.